name is Margaret Ann Windsor. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 1941 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and dropped off with this family. And this is a glossed-over picture I'm going to show you here. The Dempseys. This is Lina. She killed her twins, Peggy and Carl. And this is that family. And this is me. 1943, spring, I think that was made. I just got these. Somebody sent it to me. This is Carl, the twin, Preston Dempsey. They were born out of wedlock, the twins. I might have said that. They were both killed by her, and the family covered it up. And this woman, Annie Carter, even admitted she was a Dempsey and married to Ezra Carter in Carlisle, Kentucky. And she worked as a teacher at the Lexington, outside there, where Secretariat and all those horses. She had a farm out in there that was really nice. So they have never paid a price except to want me shut up. And that's the whole thing in this. I didn't find out about my kidnapping until '83. Now, this is Carl, and he's dead. That's the only one I'm going to show. All through this, the state of Alabama on both copies, and I'm not showing Peggy's. That's the one I still have to use that name, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I'm married to Childers, unless I can get mine back and everything's falling. And this is what would happen. These no-good rats would lose their money that they're stole from me and from the Brits and Germans. And I'm talking about Elizabeth. This is how I grew up, only you don't see it. This was a pigsty over here, no cars. This is glossed over. Peggy, on birth dates, state of Alabama even marked through the birth dates, which is illegal. It says it on the birth certificates, to make a change of any kind. Yet they blatantly put January the 7th to make it fit with the date that I'd been given me and I grew up with. Here's my Uncle George the Sixth, illegal. 1939, the year I was born, with Roosevelt. He had just come from Canada. So in essence, what happened, they illegally, his own brother, the New World Order, the Illuminati, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the Jews again, and the Kennedys. Joe Kennedy was appointed ambassador, and here's his daughter. She's living good, isn't she, Caroline? She's ambassador to Japan, the very people that her grandfather, Joe Kennedy, and her father helped bomb. So the whole thing was orchestrated. They got my father out. They couldn't buy him. He was a good man. He was married to my mom's sister, Georgia O'Keeffe. Claudia is my mother, from Madison, Wisconsin. And Georgia, of course, is the artist. This is a double that married Wallace, a lookalike. So Georgia 6 is illegal treaties that allowed the Americans to put their bases all over British soil and therefore launch global control, and that's where it's at. So what I wanted to get to again here, I put all this on. This is Elizabeth has spent my money, lived in my homes, and yes, she very well knows, and she has no intent of giving it up. She came right through Roanoke, Virginia in April of '07 when the shootings here. I've been writing about mind control murders before I found out about my kidnapping. And that was the mass murders at Virginia Tech next door to me. I'd been living up on the Appalachian Trail, starving, freezing. And she came through here, and she was paid by the state of Virginia to come. And everybody's just running to her. And Charles and her are part of the New World Order. So's the Clintons. There's photos and everything. They'll post it so you can't get in and arrest you, but there's photos. She is a member, and Charles, and the rest of them would be too, of the people that kidnapped me and took down my father illegally. I want to say here, because this is part of the divorce from John Childers, who I later found out was CIA. And he was supposed to marry me, but the divorce that I had an addendum, much like my father's forced abdication, a 99-year seal put on. His forced abdication, which is illegal in my birth, Victoria II, and I am legal heir, but there was an addendum to it and to my divorce. It's almost like clues, if you go back in it all. I want to say this. I've put up to the social media because the law doesn't work for me. I'm a hostage, for God's sake. So is Great Britain. Just look at us. And this is William, who named the kid George after the grandfather that kidnapped me. The whole movie was a lie. The King's speech, all of it's been nothing but a lie. Even got him married to the wrong woman and deleted me from history. They framed him, lied about him. This says here, oh boy, 25,300 tweets per minute. For one baby, this seems a bit much, although I guess you have to expect it for a royal baby. Well, he's not a royal baby. They're a bunch of thugs, traitors, frauds, killers, should be locked up, go before the world court, and only God can get them, because the world court is controlled by them, the Illuminati, that kidnapped me. This is the shoes I still have. Hiking when I was lucky, this is near the end. On the trail trying to live, and there's the backpack. I didn't even have a backpack then, and that's a coffee mug. I didn't have any of this. Now, what I want to say was, I had done the book on mind control murders, 76 to 80, and had antifreeze put in me April Fool Day of 80. Larry Flint flew me out there because during the campaign to replace Larry McDonald, the doctor congressman, that I had written about in the book. He was one of them, and I won't go any further on that. The plane went down, and I was flown to Flint's, and the first thing he said to me, a limo picked me up, and I was out there twice in October at his home in St. Cloud at the time. He said, you don't have to tell me anything about yourself. I know everything there is to know. They were going to send you back a vegetable. So he knew about all of it, the vegetable being the antifreeze. I should have died, and back meant to England, where they had kidnapped me. I didn't know that part. They say I did subconsciously, and I did remember after, start remembering. But this was in April of 84 that this was published. Now, this is my sons Mark and Scott. When the antifreeze was put in me, they never knew the truth. They were lied to. And Mark is there after me, and then Scott. And, of course, they are in jeopardy themselves because of I'm legal heir, and then they are, as long as there's an heir on my, because we're the legal one, not this woman who's a traitor, Elizabeth and her father. This is one of the mind control murders, and I was writing about the mind control murders because it's invisible, but this agency deliberately did it over the years, and I've taken it and beat the doors down to the media, local. I've gone to D.C. and logged it into the White House when I had no money, and you don't get over antifreeze put in you and burning and baking your brain, and you were supposed to die. You don't get over it that easy. And I logged it in with a letter from the FBI, a copy of the book at the post office, and Reagan was president, and his adopted son with that on his lapel, and I've seen his picture later, the talk show host. He took my box and had a letter from the FBI on top, had my book in it and some other documents, and where it's in it, and to publishers and letters. There was 2 letters from the FBI, et cetera, et cetera. It was logged in. And so a part of it is where are my books. Somebody asked me from YouTube and Facebook, they got in touch with me through that medium, and said, where are your books? We're trying to find it. Well, it was never published because I had antifreeze put in me. I wanted to get back to Mark and Scott, and I was brought over here and kidnapped and given the name of twins. This is, and some of these murders were done in patterns. This is Gabby Gifford that ran for Congress and got it, and I ran for Congress and didn't. This is her husband, Mark Kelly, twin to Scott Kelly. They're both astronauts. Who do you think built? I was kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Cortland Air Base there. That's not far from Huntsville. Who do you think's money, and money can take all forms, built Redstone Arsenal? and I can't even get in there at apartments. I can't even get a place to live. How's that? Redstone